After years of keeping his personal life tightly under wraps, John Travolta finally opens up about his new romance. In a rare and heartfelt revelation, the beloved actor shares glimpses into a fresh chapter filled with hope, healing, and unexpected connection. This is the story fans have been waiting for. A look at how Travolta is embracing love again after years of silence. After years of silence, John Travolta has just done something no one saw coming, and it's turning heads everywhere. The Hollywood icon, known for his magnetic screen presence and long-held privacy, has finally opened up about something deeply personal, something many fans have been quietly wondering for years. Has John Travolta found love again? It's not just gossip this time. There's a noticeable shift in the way he's been moving through the world lately. The man who, for so long, kept his private life locked away is now stepping back into the public eye in a way that feels different, lighter, more open, and undeniably more hopeful. But the story behind this transformation is far more complex and far more emotional than most people realize. This isn't just a story about a man dating again. It's about resilience, about grief, about what it takes to love again when the world expects you to keep hurting forever. Because when John Travolta lost his wife, Kelly Preston, to a heartbreaking battle in 2020, everything changed. And for years, fans watched him disappear from the public spotlight, focusing entirely on his children and shielding them from the chaos of fame. That silence wasn't just about healing. It was a kind of quiet strength, a father protecting his family, a man trying to figure out if there was life beyond loss. But lately, something shifted. Over the past few months, whispers have grown louder. Reports began surfacing that Travolta wasn't just quietly rebuilding his life. He was actually, for the first time in years, open to finding love again, not out of loneliness or pressure, but because maybe, just maybe, he was ready. The rumors, the sightings, the subtle smiles and interviews, it's all led to one question fans can't stop asking. Who is she? Who's the woman that helped open Travolta's heart again? And more importantly, is this real or just another Hollywood illusion? But this story doesn't unfold in the way you'd expect. Because while most celebrities would jump into tabloid-fueled relationships, John took a different path. One that's deeply personal, emotionally complex, and surprisingly grounded. So what changed? What convinced him to take a chance on love again after everything he's been through? Well, that's exactly where the story begins. Because behind the headlines and rumors lies a journey that's rarely talked about in Hollywood. What actually takes to start over when the world thinks your story is finished? And believe it or not, the real turning point didn't start with a romantic date or glamorous red carpet moment. It started in silence, in solitude, and in the quiet encouragement of two people he loves more than anything in the world. But to understand how we got here and where things might be heading, we need to go back a few years, back to a moment of heartbreak that changed everything. Because what happened next would shift the course of John Travolta's life forever. When Kelly Preston passed away in July 2020, it didn't just mark the loss of a beloved actress. It shattered the core of John Travolta's world. For nearly 3 decades, she had been his anchor, his partner, his closest friend. Their love story had survived the highs and lows of Hollywood, the devastating loss of their son Jet, and the scrutiny that often surrounds fame. But when she lost her quiet 2-year battle with illness, Travolta didn't just step back from the spotlight. He vanished. No press tours, no interviews, no Hollywood events, just silence. To many, it looked like John had disappeared. But behind the scenes, he was doing something far more courageous than any red carpet appearance. He was healing, quietly, privately, while the world speculated. He was focused on the only thing that still gave him purpose. His children. Raising Ella and Benjamin became his world. Every photo that surfaced during that period showed a man who wasn't just present. He was intentional. He cooked meals, homeschooled, traveled with them, and shielded them from the constant pull of celebrity life. In interviews that did emerge months later, he carefully avoided talking about romance or returning to the spotlight. The only thing he opened up about? Being a father. Those close to him said he turned inward, not out of bitterness, but necessity. His grief wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, stoic, the kind of pain that doesn't show up in headlines, but lingers in every moment of stillness. For a man who had always been in control of his public image, this was something he couldn't rehearse or script. It was real life, and it was raw. During this time, Travolta also spent a lot of time reflecting. He reportedly began revisiting his spiritual beliefs, leaning into things that had grounded him during earlier losses. Friends noted he often spoke about rebirth and new phases, but at the time, no one connected that language to romance. It sounded more like a man trying to rebuild himself from the ground up, try to rediscover who he was outside of the identity he shared with Kelly. And as the months turned into years, something began to change. Slowly, he started posting more frequently on social media. Not just promotional content, but genuine glimpses into his life. Videos dancing with his daughter, heartfelt tributes, birthday messages. Fans began to see sparks of the Travolta they remembered. Not the grieving husband, but the charismatic, light-hearted soul who could light up a room with a smile. But even then, the idea of him falling in love again seemed far off, unimaginable. Even for most people, love after loss feels like betrayal. Like moving on means forgetting. And Travolta didn't want to forget. Yet underneath the grief, something else was quietly building. Hope. He wasn't looking for a replacement. He wasn't chasing attention. But he was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, he still had room in his heart for something new. And not long after, the world would start to notice he wasn't alone anymore. For a long time, John Travolta's life was defined by devotion to his family, to healing, and to keeping his world as private as possible. But by early 2024, something subtle had shifted. Whispers began circulating, not from paparazzi shots or flashy headlines, but from quiet reports that hinted at something unexpected. Travolta was open to love again, and he wasn't leaving it up to fate. According to those close to him, Travolta had reached a point where he was no longer just surviving each day. He was genuinely starting to live again. And that shift wasn't sparked by a whirlwind romance or sudden infatuation. It began with intention. Real, honest, grown-up intention. At 70 years old, Travolta reportedly made a decision that surprised even some of his closest friends. He reached out to a professional matchmaker, not for publicity, not for fun, but because he wanted something real. He wasn't chasing headlines or trying to reignite some Hollywood image. He was looking for someone who felt genuine, warm, and deeply human. The list he gave the matchmaker didn't read like the typical A-list dating wish list. There was no mention of red carpet compatibility or Instagram followers. Instead, he asked for someone kind, warm, gracious, funny, spontaneous, and attractive. But most importantly, someone who could understand the complexity of his life. The highs, the pain, the fame, and the quiet. It was the first time in years that Travolta had acknowledged out loud that he was ready to share his life again. Not in the same way, not with the same intensity, but in a way that honored where he'd been and where he hoped to go next. Friends say the move wasn't about loneliness. It was about connection. After years of putting everything into being a father and grieving husband, Travolta was beginning to realize that he didn't have to carry all alone. That maybe healing wasn't just about looking backward. It was also about looking forward. Of course, the idea of him dating again was met with mixed reactions. Some fans were excited. Others were skeptical. And a few couldn't imagine him with anyone but Kelly. But Travolta didn't rush to respond. He wasn't interested in defending his choices to the world. He was simply doing what felt right for him. And for the first time in a long time, that meant following his heart. At the time, there were no major announcements. No photos splashed across the tabloids. Just quiet movements behind the scenes. But something was clearly happening. His social media presence became more upbeat. His interactions with fans grew warmer. His public appearances felt lighter, like a man who had rediscovered a piece of himself that had been buried under grief for far too long. And then, just when people were starting to wonder who might be behind this new lightness, a name surfaced. A co-star, a familiar face, and rumors began to swirl. Because if you look closely during his latest film shoot, it wasn't hard to spot the chemistry. While most fans were still piecing together the idea of John Travolta dipping back into the dating world, something else quietly began to unfold. Something far more visible and impossible to ignore. It happened not in secret rendezvous or behind-the-scenes whispers, but right in front of the cameras. During the filming of his latest movie, Cash Out, Travolta was seen sharing more than just scenes with one of his co-stars. That co-star? Kristin Davis. Yes, the same Kristin Davis best known for her role as Charlotte on Sex and the City, poised, elegant, and no stranger to navigating complex emotions on screen. But what fans began to notice went far beyond the script. There was a spark, a genuine ease between them, a kind of energy that can't be rehearsed. At first, it seemed like standard on-set camaraderie. Two professionals, seasoned actors, making the best of a demanding shoot. But as filming continued, the rumors grew louder. People close to the production began talking, quietly but consistently. There was a chemistry that didn't feel like acting, the kind that lingers after cut is called, glances that lasted a second too long, inside jokes, shared smiles that had nothing to do with the scene. And it wasn't just the crew noticing. Fans who caught behind-the-scenes glimpses or promotional photos pointed it out too. The way Travolta looked at her, relaxed, genuinely happy. The kind of expression he hadn't worn in public in a very long time. Those who know Travolta, well, say he's not one to force something for attention. If there's something real, he guards it. If there isn't, he doesn't pretend. So, the fact that he seemed so at ease, so unguarded with Kristin Davis, that said a lot. And while neither of them has confirmed anything officially, their silence speaks volumes. In an industry where some celebrities rush to control the narrative, Travolta and Davis have done the opposite. No denials, no PR games, just subtle openness, the kind that doesn't beg for attention, but doesn't run from it either. Friends say the connection between them is built on more than just shared screen time. Both have known public loss, experienced intense fame, and chosen to live much of their private lives outside the spotlight. There's a mutual respect, a calmness in their energy that suggests they understand each other in a way most people wouldn't. Some insiders even hinted that Kristin was exactly the kind of person Travolta had described when he spoke with that matchmaker months earlier. Graceful, intelligent, warm, and just unpredictable enough to keep things exciting. It's still early, and no one's throwing around labels, but the closeness is undeniable. And for fans, it's a side of Travolta they haven't seen in years. A man not just surviving, but living. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more surprising, the most unexpected source of support for this rumored romance stepped forward: his family. If there's one thing that shaped John Travolta's decision since his wife's passing, it's been his family, especially his children. Ella and Benjamin have been his rock, his priority, and the heart of his world during these challenging years. And when rumors of John stepping back into the dating world began to circulate, the biggest question for many was, how would his kids feel about it? Surprisingly, the answer has been overwhelmingly positive. Sources close to the Travolta family reveal that Ella and Benjamin want their father to be happy again. They've watched him carry the weight of grief with quiet strength for years, and they understand better than anyone the toll it's taken. Far from being protective in a way that blocks new relationships, they've been encouraging him to open his heart once more. It's a delicate balance. They want their dad to find love, but they also want to make sure it's real, genuine, and respectful of the memory of their mother. This nuanced approach is what's made the transition easier for everyone. Ella, now an adult, has been a particularly vocal advocate for her father's happiness. Friends say she's told family members that her dad deserves a fresh start, and she's hopeful about what the future might hold. This kind of family support isn't always what you hear about with celebrity romances, but it's important here because it speaks to the authenticity of this chapter in John's life. It's not a publicity stunt or a rebound. It's a step forward taken with the blessing and love of the people who matter most to him. In fact, this encouragement from his children seems to have played a crucial role in John's willingness to be more open about his life and feelings lately. It's as if having their approval gave him permission to take down some of the walls he had built for so long. Even close friends have noticed a change. Travolta is reportedly more relaxed, more present, and more willing to share glimpses of his life. The heavy weight of silence is lifted, replaced by a cautious but genuine hope. And it's not just his kids. Travolta's close circle of friends has also been supportive, understanding that after years of grief, it's healthy and even necessary for him to find companionship again. There's a shared feeling that John's journey isn't just about love. It's about healing, renewal, and the courage to start anew. But despite the support and the budding romance rumors, John hasn't rushed into anything. He's taken his time, allowing things to develop naturally, with care and respect for everyone involved. So what does John himself say about all this? Has he spoken out about his new love or this chapter in his life? That answer is coming next, and it might surprise you. Despite the swirling rumors and growing public curiosity, John Travolta has remained thoughtful and measured when it comes to discussing his personal life. He knows better than most that in Hollywood, privacy is a rare luxury, and when it comes to matters of the heart, some things are best shared on his own terms. Over the past year, he's given a few rare interviews, and while he's never explicitly confirmed a new relationship, his words have offered subtle but powerful glimpses into his mindset. Travolta has spoken openly about the importance of embracing life's second chances, without losing sight of where he's come from. In one heartfelt conversation, he reflected on how grief changes a person, but doesn't have to define them forever. Loss is a part of life, he said, but it doesn't mean the story ends there. That quiet optimism resonated deeply with fans, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, John is ready to write a new chapter. He's also shared insights about the role his family plays in his healing. "My kids have been my greatest joy and strength," he said. "They've taught me that love takes many forms, and sometimes it's about being brave enough to open your heart again." What's striking about John's tone is a lack of desperation or rush. Instead, there's a calm, almost peaceful acceptance of life's twists and turns. He acknowledges the past with respect, but his focus is clearly forward-looking. When asked about love, he's chosen words that reflect experience and growth rather than youthful passion. Love isn't just about excitement, he's explained. It's about connection, understanding, and finding someone who feels like home. These statements, while subtle, are significant. They hint at a man who has processed his pain, learned from it, and is now cautiously hopeful. There's no flashy declaration, no grand announcement, just a quiet confidence in what might be ahead. This measured approach is typical of Travolta's personality. Known for his charisma on screen, he's often more reserved in real life, valuing sincerity over spectacle. And it's clear that when it comes to love, he's no different. What makes his silence so powerful is what it leaves unsaid. By not rushing to label or define, he invites the world to respect his pace and process. It's a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful stories unfold slowly, off camera, behind closed doors, and away from the spotlight. But while John remains private, the world is watching, and the reaction has been as varied as the man himself. Up next, we'll dive into how the public and media have responded to this unexpected chapter in his life. And believe me, the reaction is anything but predictable. John Travolta opening up about his new relationship, even subtly, sent ripples through the public and media alike, though not everyone reacted the same way. Some fans were thrilled, eager to see their favorite star finding happiness again. Others were more hesitant, struggling to reconcile this new chapter with the memory of Kelly Preston and the years of silence that followed her passing. On social media, reactions ranged from heartfelt congratulations to cautious skepticism. Many longtime followers expressed relief that Travolta was finally allowing himself to move forward, applauding his courage to embrace love again after such profound loss. Comments like, "He deserves his happiness," and "Seeing him smile again warms my heart," were common. But as with any high-profile figure stepping back into romance, there was also a fair share of critics. Some accused him of moving too quickly or questioned whether a public relationship was the right choice so soon. Others speculated endlessly about Kristin Davis, try to read between the lines of their on-set chemistry and private moments. Rumors swirled about the nature of their relationship, some optimistic, others dismissive. Media outlets jumped on every detail, dissecting photos, interviews, and even body language. Headlines ranged from celebratory to skeptical, painting a picture of a Hollywood romance that was as much about hope as it was about controversy. Tabloids especially thrived on every snippet, eager to uncover anything that could confirm or deny the buzz. Yet, despite the noise, John Travolta himself remained a master of keeping the story his own. He didn't engage in public battles over rumors or speculation, and neither did Kristin Davis. Their silence seemed to speak volumes, conveying a desire to protect what they had from the often harsh spotlight. Interestingly, some entertainment insiders pointed out that this very low-key approach might actually be helping their relationship thrive. By avoiding the usual fanfare, they've been able to keep things grounded and authentic, something rare in Hollywood's dating scene. Critics aside, the reaction from Travolta's peers in the industry has been largely supportive. Many actors and friends understand challenges of balancing public life with personal healing and have praised his strength and honesty. It's a reminder that behind the glitz, celebrities face many of the same struggles and joys as anyone else. The mixed reaction has only added to the mystery and intrigue surrounding this new chapter in John Travolta's life. But if there's one thing that's clear, it's that the story is far from over. There are more surprises ahead, twists that no one could have predicted. And that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. What does the future hold for John Travolta and his new love? Are they ready for a public life together? Or is this something quietly built to last away from the cameras? With all the hints, the whispers, and the quiet moments shared between John Travolta and Kristin Davis, the big question remains: what's next for this new chapter in his life? Travolta has always been a man who values his privacy, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. After decades in the spotlight, he understands the cost of fame, and he's no stranger to heartbreak. So it's no surprise that while the public watches with curiosity, he's choosing to move forward deliberately, without rushing into any grand declarations or public spectacles. Sources close to him say that John's focus is simple: build a relationship that's real, grounded, and able to weather the pressures of both personal history and public scrutiny. The past has taught him lessons about the fragility of happiness and the importance of genuine connection. This time, it's not about dazzling the world. It's about finding peace and joy in everyday moments. There's talk that Travolta and Davis are taking their time, nurturing a bond that's still new but promising. They're reportedly spending time away from Hollywood's glare, enjoying private trips and quiet dinners, allowing their connection to deepen without distractions. For Travolta, this is a chance not just to love again, but to live again fully and authentically. His children's support remains a cornerstone of this new phase. They've seen their father heal, step back into life, and now, possibly into love. That encouragement and understanding are helping to move forward without guilt or hesitation. For the fans and the media, patience is the key. If Travolta has taught us anything, it's that some stories unfold on their own time. He's a man who has reinvented himself more than once, whether as a dancer, an actor, or a father. Now, he's quietly showing us another side, a man open to love, healing, and the future. What's truly remarkable is the lesson embedded in this journey. It's a reminder that no matter how public or private your life is, love and healing don't come with a timeline. They come when you're ready, and often when you least expect it. John Travolta's story isn't just about a Hollywood romance. It's about resilience, hope, and the courage to start over, even after the darkest days. And while the world watches with anticipation, one thing is clear. This new chapter is his right, with authenticity, with heart, and with the quiet strength of a man who's finally breaking his silence. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment. See you next time.